What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors refuses to play along with the script? When a morning show interview spirals so far out of control that cameras keep rolling on something nobody expected to see? We're about to show you exactly how a routine promotional appearance became one of the most explosive moments in live television history. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think really went down here, because this one is wild. The Good Morning America studio buzzed with its usual morning energy. Michael Strahan sat confidently at the interview desk, reviewing his notes one final time. This was supposed to be straightforward. A quick chat about Denzel Washington's latest film project, some laughs, and everyone moves on with their day. Denzel walked onto the set with that characteristic stride, shook hands with Strahan, and settled into his chair. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1, and they were live. Welcome back to Good Morning America, Strahan opened with his trademark smile. We are so excited to have Academy Award winner Denzel Washington with us this morning. Denzel, thank you for being here. Good to be here, Michael, Denzel replied, his voice measured and professional. So let's jump right in, Strahan continued. Your new film has been getting incredible buzz. But before we get to that, there's been some conversation online about your recent comments regarding the current state of Hollywood. Some people interpreted them as critical of younger actors. Would you like to clarify what you meant? The studio seemed to get quieter. Denzel's jaw tightened. Clarify? Denzel repeated, his tone shifting. Michael, I'm going to stop you right there. What exactly do you think needs clarifying? Strahan maintained his composure. Well, some folks felt that you were being dismissive of the new generation of talent. I'm just giving you an opportunity to expand on those thoughts. An opportunity, Denzel said slowly. That's interesting. Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you're asking me to defend something I never said. You're asking me to respond to how some people interpreted words that were taken out of context and spread across social media by folks who probably never watched the full interview in the first place. The energy in the studio shifted. This wasn't going according to plan. Denzel, I don't think anyone is asking you to defend anything. We're just having a conversation here, Strahan said. Are we, though? Denzel leaned back in his chair. Because it seems to me like you came into this with an agenda. First question about the movie. Fine. That's what I'm here for. But then immediately you jump to controversy, to something designed to put me on the defensive. Is that the kind of conversation we're having, Michael? With all due respect, these are questions that people want answers to. That's part of being in the public eye, Strahan replied, tension creeping into his voice. Let me tell you something about being in the public eye, Michael. I've been doing this for over 4 decades. But what I won't do is sit here and let someone misrepresent my words and then act like I'm the one being difficult when I call it out. The cameras kept rolling. Robin Roberts and George Stephanopoulos had gone silent. I'm not trying to misrepresent anything. I'm asking you about your own words, Strahan insisted. No, Denzel cut him off sharply. You're asking me about someone else's interpretation of my words. There's a difference, and you know there's a difference. So let me ask you something. Why don't you tell me what you think I meant? Why don't you share your actual opinion instead of hiding behind this objective journalist routine? Strahan's expression hardened. My opinion doesn't matter. I'm here to facilitate discussion. Facilitate discussion, Denzel said with a dry laugh. That's a nice way of saying stir up drama. Morning shows need ratings. Controversy sells. But I didn't come here to play that game. I came here to talk about a film that I believe in. But instead, you want to talk about manufactured controversy. Nobody's manufacturing anything, Strahan shot back, frustration now evident. You said what you said. People reacted. That's reality. People reacted to clips, Denzel countered. 15-second clips without context. And now you're sitting here acting like I owe everyone an explanation. Here's a reality check, Michael. I don't owe anyone anything except my best work. Everything else is noise. Producers were frantically speaking into headsets, but the cameras kept rolling. So you don't care how people interpret your words? You don't think you have any responsibility to your fans? Strahan pressed. Denzel's eyes flashed. Don't you dare question my relationship with my fans. You know what responsibility I have to them? To keep doing good work, to choose roles that challenge me, to maintain the integrity that's kept me relevant for 40 years, not to constantly apologize for things I didn't say. But words matter, especially from someone in your position, Strahan said. Of course words matter, which is why I choose mine carefully. Which is why I'm frustrated when they're chopped up to fit whatever narrative someone wants to push. You want to know what I actually said? I said that young actors face different challenges than we did. I said social media has changed the nature of fame. I said that talent matters, but so does craft and discipline. Now you tell me, Michael, what part of that is controversial? When you talk about craft and discipline, some people hear that as you saying younger actors don't have those qualities. Some people hear what they want to hear, Denzel responded. And some people in your position are more than happy to amplify those voices because it makes for good television. If someone wants to take my words about the importance of craft as an insult, that says more about them than it does about me. I think you're being unfair, Strahan said, his composure cracking. I think you came in here with an attitude, and you're taking out your frustration. Strahan's face flushed. I never said I wanted you to leave. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not putting words in your mouth, Denzel shot back. I'm responding to what you actually said. You said maybe I shouldn't do interviews. Those were your words. So what did you mean by that, Michael? Were you suggesting that someone who won't play along with manufactured drama shouldn't be doing press? Robin Roberts, sensing the situation spiraling, spoke up. Gentlemen, maybe we should take a breath here. But neither man acknowledged her. They were locked in now. You're twisting everything I say, Strahan protested. I'm trying to have a conversation and you're attacking me. I'm not attacking you, Denzel said firmly. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging the premise of your questions. I'm challenging the approach. If you feel attacked by that, maybe you need to ask yourself why. Because you're being hostile, Strahan replied. You've been hostile since you sat down. Denzel shook his head. No, Michael, I've been direct. I've been honest. I've refused to play the game you wanted to play. And clearly that's made you uncomfortable. But hostility and honesty aren't the same thing. The control room was in chaos. Producers were arguing about whether to cut away, but the decision was made to keep rolling. This was news now. I don't appreciate being lectured, Strahan said, his voice hard. I've been doing this job for years. I know how to conduct an interview. Then conduct one, Denzel challenged. Ask me about the film. Ask me about the director's vision. Ask me about the research I did for the role. Ask me something that actually matters instead of trying to bait me into a controversy that doesn't exist. Strahan's jaw clenched. The controversy does exist, though. Whether you like it or not, people are talking about it. That makes it real. People talk about all kinds of things, Denzel replied. That doesn't mean it deserves airtime on a national morning show. You're giving oxygen to nonsense, Michael, and then acting surprised when I call it out. So everyone who had a problem with what you said is just wrong? Strahan challenged. I didn't say that. But I will say this. If someone felt disrespected by me saying that craft and discipline matter in acting, then yes, they probably are overreacting. I stand by what I said because what I said was true. This industry requires more than just a pretty face and a social media following. It requires work, dedication, study. If that offends someone, that's something they need to work through, not something I need to walk back. George Stephanopoulos shifted uncomfortably. This had become something bigger than a simple disagreement. This was a moment that would be analyzed for days. You know what I think this is really about? Strahan said, leaning forward. I think you're upset because, for once, someone isn't just nodding along. For once, someone is actually pushing back on you. Denzel's eyes narrowed. Pushing back? Is that what you call this? You think asking loaded questions based on misinterpreted sound bites is pushing back? That's not journalism, Michael. That's ambush television. Ambush? Strahan's voice rose. You knew we were going to talk about this. Your publicist got the pre-interview questions. You had every opportunity to decline if you didn't want to address it. And there it is, Denzel said, pointing at Strahan. Now we're getting somewhere. You're admitting this was planned. You came in here with the intention of creating this exact moment. This wasn't about giving me a platform to clarify anything. This was about getting me riled up for ratings. That's not what I said, Strahan protested. It's exactly what you said. You just admitted that my team knew about these questions in advance, which means you knew this would be contentious. You wanted this reaction. Well, congratulations, Michael, you got it. You happy now? The tension in the studio was suffocating. Camera operators didn't know where to point their lenses. The other hosts sat frozen, unsure how to intervene. I'm doing my job, Strahan said through gritted teeth. I'm asking questions that the audience wants answered. If you can't handle that, then maybe you're right. Maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Denzel stood up suddenly, and for a moment everyone thought he was going to walk off the set. But instead he remained standing, looking down at Strahan. Let me tell you what I can't handle, Michael. I can't handle the disrespect. I can't handle coming onto a show to promote meaningful work and being treated like I'm here to provide content for Twitter drama. I can't handle a fellow professional, someone who should understand the pressures of this industry, participating in the very system that tears people down. You want to know what I really think about young actors today? I think they're being set up to fail by people like you. By a media environment that values conflict over conversation, that rewards controversy over creativity. Strahan stood up as well, meeting Denzel's gaze. People like me? You don't know anything about me. I know enough, Denzel replied. I know that you used to be an athlete. I know that you understand what it means to be scrutinized, to have every move analyzed and criticized. So the fact that you're now on the other side, doing the scrutinizing, asking the gotcha questions, that's what disappoints me, Michael. You should know better. Don't you dare question my integrity, Strahan said, his voice shaking with anger now. I have worked too hard to get where I am to have you stand here and lecture me about my character. Then act like someone with integrity, Denzel shot back. Act like someone who cares about the truth instead of the headline. Act like someone who wants to have real conversations instead of manufactured drama. Robin Roberts stood up now, placing herself slightly between the two men. Okay, I think we need to take a commercial break. No, both men said simultaneously, neither taking their eyes off the other. We're going to finish this conversation, Denzel continued, because I want everyone watching to understand what's really happening here. I want them to see how these interviews actually work, how the questions are designed to elicit specific responses, how the whole thing is theater designed to create clips for social media. Strahan laughed bitterly. Oh, so now you're going to pull back the curtain? You're going to expose the evil media? Please, Denzel, spare us the self-righteous act. You've been playing this game for 40 years. You've benefited from it just as much as anyone. I've participated in it, Denzel acknowledged. I'm not going to pretend I haven't. But there's a difference between participating. George Stephanopoulos finally spoke up, his voice calm but firm. Denzel, Michael, I think we all need to step back for a moment. This has gotten very heated, and I'm not sure continuing down this path is productive for anyone. Denzel turned to George, his expression slightly softer but still intense. With respect, George, I disagree. I think this is the most productive conversation that's happened on morning television in years. Because for once, we're not pretending. For once, the masks are off. The masks are off? Strahan repeated, his anger reigniting. What is that supposed to mean? It means we're having a real conversation instead of a scripted one, Denzel replied, turning back to face him. You asked me a question expecting one response, and I gave you a different one. That's honest. That's authentic. Isn't that what everyone claims they want? Authenticity? Authenticity isn't the same as being combative, Strahan countered. You can be real without being disrespectful. And you can ask tough questions without being exploitative, Denzel fired back. But you didn't do that, did you? You went straight for the jugular. You wanted a reaction and you got one. The difference is, I'm not going to apologize for defending myself. Robin Roberts tried again. Nobody is asking anyone to apologize, but we do have an audience watching, and I think we owe it to them to at least try to find some common ground here. Denzel looked directly into the camera for the first time since the confrontation began. You want to know what the common ground is? The common ground is that all of us, everyone watching, we're all tired of the games. We're tired of manufactured controversies. We're tired of watching people tear each other down for entertainment. But we keep participating in it because we don't know how to stop. Well, I'm stopping. Right here, right now. That's easy for you to say, Strahan interjected. You're Denzel Washington. You've got 2 Oscars and a career spanning decades. You can afford to take a stand. But what about people who are still trying to make it? What about people who need the exposure, who need to play the game to get noticed? That's exactly my point, Denzel said, his voice rising with passion. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. The game is rigged. Young actors, young artists, they feel like they have to compromise their integrity to get ahead. They feel like they have to engage in drama and controversy because that's what gets attention. And who created that system, Michael? People in positions like yours. Media gatekeepers who decide what gets coverage and what doesn't. Strahan shook his head. That's not fair. I don't control what goes viral. I don't control what people care about. But you influence it, Denzel insisted. Every time you choose to focus on controversy instead of substance, you influence it. Every time you ask a question designed to create conflict instead of understanding, you influence it. You have power, Michael, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And with that power comes responsibility. You're one to talk about responsibility, Strahan said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You come on here, you disrespect me and this show, you create this whole scene, and then you want to lecture me about responsibility? I'm not disrespecting you, Denzel said quietly but with steel in his voice. I'm disagreeing with you. There's a difference. I'm challenging your approach, your tactics, your questions. That's not disrespect. That's discourse. That's what's supposed to happen in interviews. You ask questions, I answer them honestly, and sometimes those answers make people uncomfortable. That's how real conversations work. The control room had given up trying to intervene. The producers realized they were witnessing something unprecedented, and the decision had been made to let it play out. You think you're teaching me some kind of lesson, Strahan said, his voice strained. You think you're opening my eyes to something, but all you're doing is making yourself look difficult. You're making yourself look like someone who can't handle basic interview questions. Denzel's expression hardened. There you go again, framing it your way. They weren't basic questions, Michael. They were loaded questions based on false premises. And the fact that you keep trying to paint me as difficult for not accepting those premises tells me everything I need to know about your approach to this conversation. My approach? Strahan's frustration was reaching a breaking point. My approach is to do my job. My approach is to ask questions that people are talking about. My approach is to give you, the guest, the famous actor, a chance to address things that are circulating in the media. If that's somehow wrong, then I don't know what you expect from me. I expect you to think critically, Denzel said. I expect you to question whether what people are talking about is actually worth talking about. I expect you to use your platform for more than just amplifying whatever happens to be trending. Is that too much to ask? Yes, Strahan said flatly. If I only covered what I personally deemed worthy, I wouldn't have a job. This isn't my personal blog, Denzel. This is a morning show with millions of viewers who have different interests and different concerns. And you think those viewers are better served by watching us argue about misinterpreted quotes than they would be by learning about a new film that actually has something to say? Denzel challenged. I think they deserve both, Strahan replied. I think they can handle nuance. I think they can be interested in your work and also interested in things you've said publicly. That's not exploitation. That's comprehensive coverage. Comprehensive coverage, Denzel repeated. Is that what we're calling gossip now? The exchange continued. Neither man willing to concede ground. Both convinced of their position. The television audience watching transfixed as 2 accomplished professionals laid bare the tensions that usually remained hidden behind the polished veneer of morning television. The interview had become something else entirely. A raw examination of media, celebrity, and the complex relationship between the two. Strahan's voice lowered, taking on a more personal tone. You know what, Denzel? Maybe you're right. Maybe I did come in here with an agenda. Maybe I did want to push you a little, to see if the legendary Denzel Washington would crack under pressure. And you know what? You did. You cracked. And now everyone sees it. Denzel smiled, but there was no warmth in it. If this is what cracking looks like, Michael, then I'm comfortable with it. Because at least I'm being real. The smile faded from Strahan's face. Being real? You call this being real? You're grandstanding, Denzel. You're using this platform to make yourself look like some kind of martyr standing up against big bad media. But really, you're just a celebrity who can't handle criticism. Criticism? Denzel's voice carried a dangerous edge now. You want to criticize my work, my performances, my choices as an actor? Go ahead, I welcome that. But coming at me with secondhand outrage from people on social media who didn't even bother to understand what I actually said? That's not criticism, Michael. That's lazy. Lazy, Strahan repeated, his voice thick with indignation. You're calling me lazy, on live television. You're calling me, someone who gets up at 4 in the morning every day to do this job, lazy. I'm calling your approach lazy, Denzel clarified. There's a difference. I'm sure you work hard, Michael. I'm sure you put in the hours. But working hard and working smart aren't always the same thing. You can spend all day asking the wrong questions with the wrong intentions and still call it work. George Stephanopoulos interjected firmly. Gentlemen, I really think we need to wrap this up. We've gone far beyond what was intended here. What was intended, Denzel said, looking at George, was a setup, and I walked right into it. I'll own that. But I won't apologize for how I responded once I realized what was happening. Strahan threw his hands up. A setup? You keep saying that like we conspired against you. Like we sat in a room and plotted how to take down Denzel Washington. That's paranoid, man. That's not what happened. Then tell me what did happen, Denzel demanded. You got questions from your producers, right? Someone decided that the controversy angle was the way to go with this interview. Someone made that choice. And you went along with it. Because it's relevant, Strahan insisted. Because it's part of the conversation around you right now. Why is that so hard for you to understand? Because it's only part of the conversation because people like you made it part of the conversation, Denzel shot back. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You report on the controversy, which creates more controversy, which gives you more to report on. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Robin Roberts spoke up, her voice carrying authority. I think what's getting lost here is that both of you have valid points. Denzel, you're right that media can sometimes amplify things unnecessarily. Michael, you're right that addressing public discussion is part of journalism. But this has become personal, and that's not helping anyone. Maybe it needed to become personal, Denzel said, his intensity unwavering. Maybe that's the only way to break through the professional courtesy that keeps us all nodding and smiling while the system gets worse and worse. I like you, Michael. I respect your journey. But I can like you and still call out what I see as a problem with how you approached this interview. Strahan stared at him for a long moment. You want to know the truth? The real truth? I thought you could handle it. I thought Denzel Washington, two-time Oscar winner, one of the most respected actors in Hollywood, could handle a couple of tough questions without falling apart. I guess I was wrong. I haven't fallen apart, Denzel said evenly. I've stood my ground. There's a difference. You wanted me to shrink, to backtrack, to qualify everything I've said until it's meaningless. I'm not going to do that. Not for you, not for anyone. Then we're done here, Strahan said, pulling off his microphone. Because I'm not going to sit here and be insulted on my own show. Nobody's insulting you, Denzel replied, his voice carrying a note of frustration. That's what you're not getting. Challenging you isn't insulting you. Disagreeing with you isn't attacking you. But if you can't tell the difference, then yes, maybe we are done here. The studio fell into an uncomfortable silence. The crew didn't know whether to keep filming or cut away. The other hosts looked at each other, unsure how to salvage what remained of the broadcast. Finally, George Stephanopoulos took control. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more news and weather. Thank you for watching. As soon as the red light on the cameras went off, the tension somehow increased rather than dissipated. Denzel remained seated while Strahan stood frozen, his microphone dangling in his hand. "You know what the sad part is?" Denzel said quietly, though everyone could still hear him. "We could have had a great conversation. We could have talked about the craft, about storytelling, about what it means to create art in this moment. Instead, we did this. And that's on both of us." Strahan looked at him, his expression unreadable. For a moment it seemed like he might respond, might extend some kind of olive branch. But instead, he simply walked off the set, leaving Denzel sitting there alone. Robin Roberts approached Denzel carefully. "That was intense." "It was honest," Denzel replied, standing up. "Maybe too honest for morning television. But I'm tired of pretending, Robin. I'm tired of playing the game. If that makes me difficult, then I'll be difficult." "I don't think you're difficult," she said softly. "I think you're frustrated. And I think some of what you said needed to be said. But the way it came out, the way it escalated, that's going to overshadow everything else." Denzel nodded slowly. "You're probably right. The clips will make me look angry, defensive, maybe even unstable. The context will be lost. And ironically, that will prove my point about how media works. But at least I said what I needed to say." As Denzel prepared to leave the set, producers scrambled to figure out how to handle what had just happened. Social media was already exploding with reactions. The interview had lasted less than 15 minutes, but it would dominate news cycles for days. Denzel Washington had come to Good Morning America to promote a film. Instead, he had pulled back the curtain on the uncomfortable relationship between celebrities and the media that covers them. Whether that was a mistake or a moment of necessary honesty would be debated long after the cameras stopped rolling. And that's exactly what happened when one of Hollywood's most respected actors decided he was done playing by the rules. So what do you think? Was Denzel right to call out the interview tactics, or did he take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. The question everyone's asking now is, will this change how celebrity interviews are conducted, or was this just a one-time explosion that will be forgotten by next week? Let us know what you think.